In this video, we're gonna have a special Walmart edition on how to learn the Airflare Cancel, so stay tuned. What's up guys, this is your boy Coach Sambo. And, you know, I've been pretty busy these days, so I have to learn how to improvise and make tutorials wherever I go. And today, we're at Walmart. And the great thing about Walmart is that if you can learn your Airflare Cancel right here, then basically you can learn it anywhere you go. So no excuses. So the reason why we're out here is because I got these 4 students which were called the mini droids, and I promised them if they would win Belgium's Got Talent, then I would take them out to Disney World in Florida. So this week we've been in Florida basically the whole time. We went to Disney World, we rented a boat, we did all types of crazy stuff. If you want to check out our videos and vlogs, check the description down below. Get the hell out of here. I'm trying to work, guys. Alright, so before learning an Airflare Cancel, you want to be able to do Airflare. I have a lot of different videos on Airflare, including a very good Airflare tutorial that I recommend you to watch. The link is also in the description down below. If you're not able to do an Airflare, then yeah, you can watch this for entertainment reasons, or you might use these techniques somewhere down the line in the future once you have learned your Airflare. Besides being able to do Airflare, I also recommend you just having good hand hops and having a good flare. And when we're talking about hand hops, I'm talking about hand hops on both sides and being able to do plus 10 hops. So today I have one of my students, his name is Diego, and he'll be helping us out today with this Airflare Cancel. And I just want you to know that Diego obviously really does know how to do good Airflare already, and he does master his hand hops on both sides. You might want to train your Airflare without learning these hand hops on both sides, but somewhere down the line it's going to slow down your whole process. And ultimately, you won't be able to master it to a level where you can do like crazy combos and crazy variations. So master your hand hops on both sides. So first off, we're just going to start with one Airflare and just try and land on your feet, basically almost like a crash Airflare. But what we're doing at this point is we're doing an Airflare and kind of shifting our focus on landing on those feet. Meanwhile, we are placing our landing hand on the floor for safety, so you feel comfortable, so you get a little bit into the vibe or the mode. And at this point, for this exercise, we're calling this the pussy hand. Definitely recommend doing this a few times and executing it with a very strong leg pump that comes out of your hips. The better your pump is, the better your bounce is, the more air time you will get, the easier it will be for you to land on those feet. The next step is basically doing the same thing, applying the pussy hand and then trying to land on your knees. Because landing your Airflare Cancel on your knees is a lot easier than landing it on your feet. So at this point, you really want to throw yourself and you want to try and put as little weight as possible on that landing hand or pussy hand. Basically just throwing yourself in that Airflare and just giving it all you got to just try and land on those knees. At this point, it already starts to develop into an Airflare Cancel, and you'll start to get used to the pump and the hop, that air time and the feel of the Airflare Cancel. Once you kind of get comfortable with this, what you want to do now is take away the pussy hand and just try and execute a full-on Airflare Cancel to your knees. This is the easiest form of the Airflare Cancel. When training this on mats or on a spinning floor or on grass or in some environment where you feel safe, I definitely recommend you just doing this a lot, and then after a few practice sessions, it will be a lot easier to try and land on your feet. So let's imagine we're there already and it's time for you to land it on your feet. There are 2 things you have to do. Number 1 is give it a very powerful leg pump up. More airtime you get, the easier. The second thing you want to do is swing your leg to the side. Now, you can land your Airflare Cancel on both legs. The real Airflare Cancel is landing it on the leg, which is basically on the same side as your throw hand. That means if you throw your Airflare in your left hand, you should land your Airflare Cancel on your left leg. However, the easier version is throwing your Airflare Cancel with your left hand and then landing it on your right leg. So I definitely would try and do that one first after learning it with the landing on the knees. But when learning and trying to execute the real Airflare Cancel, the one that everybody does, you really have to give it a good swing to the side combined with that strong leg pump. The combination of those 2 things together will make the move possible for you if your Airflare basics are good enough and if you have enough flexibility and agility, of course. Another tip I could share with you guys at this point is that for learning the Airflare Cancel, you definitely want to start with a frontal power kick. So that means not creating a full rotation, but if you start with that front power kick, so that means putting your hands in front of you, it's going to get easier to utilize that pump and land the Airflare Cancel. When reaching the point of actually executing an Airflare Cancel, you can try and combine it with different things, such as a coin drop or any other move you might think of. And that's kind of like your job, right? To figure out how to do things your way and to be original with whatever things you combine it with. After this whole process, I can share one more thing with you, and that's trying to execute it from a flare go down. So basically only placing one hand on the floor before executing that Airflare Cancel. Basically exactly the same way you would start a flare, but now we're using this go down to execute the Airflare Cancel, which kind of is the hardest way to do it if you ask me. Now this is a technique I don't really share with a lot of people, and you can find this technique alongside many other secret techniques in my Airflare Masterclass. You can find more detail on that on my website or in the description description down below. So for the flare go down Airflare Cancel, you basically want to execute the beginning of a flare, but then hold back the speed so you can utilize your foot to throw your hips up, because those hips have to be very, very high when you're executing an Airflare from a flare go down. More specifically, to do an Airflare Cancel from this go down, you really need to hold back the speed and put everything you have in that pump and the leg that swings to the side to make sure you can land it on your feet. Diego actually never executed this move in the past, but he's just trying it for the first time out here in Walmart. So you get to see his process on how he executed it for the first time. And basically it just takes us back to the first steps, right? Executing it with a pussy hand and then trying to get comfortable with that and then applying the pump and the swing to the side. And then from here on, it's up to him or it's up to you to cook your own and create your own stuff with. All right, so that wraps up our tutorial. And don't forget, I have tons of other videos on my YouTube channel, and let me know where I should do my next tutorial. And never forget, at the end of the day, when you think about it, it's just all about that B-boy shit. Peace.